My name's Ben Putz. I'm a second year diagnostic radiography student at Birmingham City University. I'm also the vice chair of the Society of Radiography Student Rep Forum. I'm pleased to be here.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm Oliver Baldwin. I'm a fourth year student at the European School of Osteopathy. So I'm training to become an osteopath. Osteopaths are part of the allied health profession since I think 2017 and are basically quite highly trained musculoskeletal specialists, a bit like physios. But we can also specialize in other little areas like women's health, pediatrics, that kind of thing. And yeah, excited to be here and speak a little bit about how to become an osteopath.
I'll go next. My name is Elena Ramji. I graduated at the University of Sheffield 2 years ago, and I'm an orthoptist currently working at Moorfields Eye Hospital. And yeah, excited to be here to talk a little bit about orthoptics.
I'm Lucy. I'm a podiatry apprentice and part of the first cohort that started a year last September. I'm currently working at East London Foundation Trust, and I work alongside qualified podiatrists in the community and hospital in lots of different clinics like MSK, nail surgery, the high-risk diabetics, the ulcers and the pad clinics.
Thank you, guys. Soraya's here as well. So thank you. I told you we have to go and fly by the seat of our pants. You've done a brilliant job introducing yourself so far. Soraya's with us. Soraya, we'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay. That's technical challenges we have with working virtually. So I'm Soraya Hassan. I'm working on a secondment with Health Education England alongside Carrie as a colleague. I'm a physiotherapist by background. So I have specialized in musculoskeletal physiotherapy, but I've also done my master's in healthcare policy and management. So I've done a variety of clinical roles through my career, and then also management roles across AHP professions, working as a matron as well, so managing nursing colleagues. And I'm now working on a project with HEE, looking at supporting our support workforce through their career development pathway. So a really exciting project for the next 18 months.
Brilliant. Thank you all for joining us this morning and being brilliant AHP career ambassadors on our first session, Becoming an Allied Health Profession. So hello, everybody. Some of you who joined earlier will have seen me with George at the start of the day. My name's Carrie Biddle. I am a speech and language therapist by profession, and I'm working with Health Careers Live as part of Health Education England's AHP team, supporting the AHP Live Stage today. So this is our first live panel session of today, and I'm delighted we have all our guests live with us. Well done. Thank you, George and team, for getting everybody through this morning. And this session is all about giving you some general information about the range of careers and opportunities available to you as an allied health professional, to get a better understanding and think about your own interests, your strengths, the things you enjoy, your skills and your values, and how these relate to some of the professions that we will be sharing with you across the day. And for our panel guests to give you some of their own lived experience and top tips of what made them choose their careers, their professions, that may be of use to you. So first up, I'm going to come to you first, Ben, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Each of our 14 allied health professions are unique by role and diverse in skills. So given your chosen profession and you are training to be a diagnostic radiographer, if radiography was a cocktail, what would you suggest are the key ingredients that need to be mixed together based on skills, interests, strengths that would produce the best top class diagnostic radiographer?
Well, I think to produce diagnostic radiographer, you need to have a keen interest in both science and technology, and also in patient care. So we're very lucky that we get some amazing equipment that we get to use every day, such as CT scanners, X-ray tubes, MRI scanners, ultrasound machines, and various radioactive and non-radioactive materials. And if you think just for a second about how MRI works, you know, the big white donut that the patients go in and out of, the science behind it is very complicated, which I won't go into. But we use magnets to align the water atoms in our bodies and then measure the changes as we add radio waves. And using that information and some computing power, a bit of magic, we can turn it into an image of showing tissue, fluid and bone, which is then used to form a diagnosis and give patient treatment. So an interest in physics and technology is really important. And as I mentioned, patient care side of it is also a big part of our work. We see so many different patients from all walks of life, array of different issues and diseases and illnesses and injuries. And we provide the best care and support we can for each one, which is sometimes a hugely distressing time for them. We often have more time with patients because we're away in the basement somewhere, in a quiet area. So we can have a good chat and try and relay some of the fears and worries that they're going through. And I love going home after placement every day and knowing that I provided that vital piece of information in their journey and helped aid their diagnosis and treatment. But I think it's really difficult to kind of sum up diagnostic radiography as it's such a vast profession. There's so many different areas and specialisms within radiography. You could work in X-ray or CT or MRI or ultrasound or nuclear medicine, interventional, forensics, dental, and so much more. And each specialism has its own kind of pace of working and range of illnesses and diseases they might commonly see. And there's opportunities to work in theatre, as majority of surgery requires X-rays and constant imaging. There's also working in A&E, and the different range of patients you see, from life-threatening trauma to something more common like a broken finger. I think radiography is so vast, there's probably something for everyone in it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ben. I like that idea of, and that you pulled through about that it's both science and care and people, and all our roles today that people are going to see is around being people and wanting to support with care and compassion those in our local communities. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Lucy, I'm going to come to you next. So you are an apprentice podiatrist. So I'll be grateful if you could just share what podiatrists do, because I know that lots of people always ask about who are the podiatrists and what do they do. And you've taken the apprenticeship pathway to train to become a registered podiatrist. So if you can share with us what was attractive to you about taking that pathway and some of the things that you would do, if you were having a day in the life of a podiatrist, what might people expect to come across?
Cool. So a really quick overview of what podiatrists do. Podiatrists are trained in the more routine care like the nail care and the callus and the corns, but actually it's a lot deeper than that. They do a lot of specialist lower limb musculoskeletal stuff. We see a lot of high risk diabetic patients and also patients who have wounds on the feet to prevent them from getting worse and ended up in hospital. We do nail surgery. We also do peripheral arterial disease assessment clinics as well. And that's just what we do in our clinics. There's a lot more that a lot of other podiatrists do as well in NHS and in private. With the apprenticeship route, I think I'm really lucky to have gotten onto it, especially as part of the first cohort. It was really attractive because I already have a degree in something completely different, and to find a way to study as a traditional student financially, it just wasn't an option for me, unfortunately. Obviously, the government do provide some level of assistance on the finance, but I would have had to find some kind of part-time job on a weekend, and I just couldn't afford to do that. So the apprenticeship route was brilliant because not only do you get a wage, going to university is part of the job. So I'm in clinic 3 days a week, and that's a mixture of clinical and administrative. I'm at uni 1 day a week, and then I tend to get a day of protected self-study time as well. But I get paid for the job. My student fees are paid for by the trust. And I'm also getting a lot of clinical experience. So like I said, some of the things that podiatrists do earlier, I get to assist with and do under supervision. I'm already debriding ulcerations under supervision by some of the band 7s and 6s on the team as well. So it's just fantastic. I just get so much clinical experience. It just makes me really passionate about it.
Brilliant. When did you start your apprenticeship, Lucy?
A year last September. So I'm currently in the second year. They stretch the modules out of the apprenticeship so that you've got that balance between the clinical and the study. So rather than doing 3 years degree, it's a 4-year degree, and you think you do about 2 modules per semester.
Great, thank you. So that earn while you learn route is working for you, and will enable you to join the registered healthcare workforce at the end, and you have that job to go into as a podiatrist.
And I'll be able to hopefully just kick the ground running once I've finished that degree and just jump into all the complicated, interesting stuff.
Great, brilliant. Thank you so much, Lucy, for sharing that with us. I'm delighted you're a trailblazer. First cohort of podiatry apprentices. Brilliant. Thank you for being with us. So, Oliver, I'm going to come to you next. So can you share with us why you chose osteopathy as your profession of choice, and how your studies fit in with your lifestyle?
Yeah, so I took a bit of a left turn. So I took a gap year, and then I started a biochemistry degree, and I'd been kind of, I guess, told and guided throughout school that if you are strong in quote unquote academic subjects, you should kind of let go of the more practical, creative stuff. But then I started my biochemistry degree and I wasn't really enjoying it. And I started researching kind of professions and thinking about treatment that I received. And I started to kind of think about osteopathy, chiropractic, physiotherapy. And I really like the idea of osteopathy because it's something that still is definitely an academic subject, in that you need to learn all of the anatomy, all of the physiology, all the pathophysiology. We're primary healthcare, so we have to screen people for everything, refer out to other allied health professions or GPs. So you still need to do all of that side, but then you directly translate it into something hands-on and practical. And so from like week 1 on my course, which I'm now in year 4 of, you're learning practical techniques to help people. And you also get that kind of interaction with your patients as well. Linking back to what Ben said, as osteopaths, normally an initial consultation is 40 minutes. And if you compare that to kind of how long GPs see people for, you can really kind of listen to a patient and really kind of build up that relationship with them. So that was definitely kind of what drew me to osteopathy, to my university specifically. So I've got some merch right here representing, probably shouldn't do that, but yeah. The European School of Osteopathy is a really, really great course because compared to some of the London unis and there's one in Wales as well at Swansea, they teach a really, really broad spectrum of techniques. And so there's some techniques that you can normally only do as a postgraduate level in visceral osteopathy. So working a little bit to try and improve and work on the kind of organs of the abdomen, and cranial osteopathy that's a little bit out there, but they give you a little bit of exposure to those type of techniques on an undergraduate level, as well as the structural, purely musculoskeletal stuff. So it's a really, really cool course. And then to kind of fit into my lifestyle, it's based in Maidstone. There's not a whole lot going on here. But it still fits in pretty well in that everyone who's on the course is quite like-minded people. There's a couple of clubs within our kind of student association, so you can be climbing once or twice a week and bouldering. I also work a little bit part-time doing kind of food delivery, cycling, working with Deliveroo, Uber Eats, those kind of companies, just for kind of fitness and pocket money, as it were. And then within the course, or because of the course, you also get access to a discounted rate to do a sports massage qualification, which I did in second year. And so I also work sometimes part-time and kind of as a self-employed sports massage therapist, doing some home visits in London. So it's busy. Right now I'm working on dissertation, so I'm not really doing so much of the part-time work, but that's kind of I guess, kind of gives you a little of an insight into what it's going to be like working as an osteopath, in that I can just choose to kind of so that I can work on the dissertation and really kind of customize when and how I work. So yeah, Brilliant. That's kind of, I spoke at 100 miles an hour there, so I hope everyone got most of that.
That was great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So Soraya, I'm going to come over to you next. So I'm interested to find out about the vast range of opportunities that are out there to across. So I know you're supporting the support worker work at the moment, and what's in that space, because we're really seeing that starting to open up for people. And in that wider space, you know, Lucy's touched upon apprenticeships and the different routes. So we're constantly seeing more happening to widen participation and inclusion. And so I'd be interested to find out your thoughts and experiences on that.
Thanks, Carrie. If I touch on a little bit first on the work I'm doing with support workers now. So across my career, I've worked with significant number of support workers across different professions, nursing, AHP, etc. And there's such a wealth of experience and compassion, and the values that they bring to the patient journey is significant. So the work I'm doing now is to try and harness that more and grow that even more, because what we haven't got on that we're working on trying to get is a bit more of a consistent career pathway for our support workers. So similar to what Lucy was saying, the opportunities are abundant now. We trust are looking at exploring the apprenticeship pathway. So you are looking at a pathway where you can come in, and if you haven't got your A levels and you've got GCSEs, you can go on an apprenticeship pathway that will support you to get that level of exposure. But you're also getting the clinical experience. You're also developing that behaviors that you need if you're looking after people and supporting their well-being. And then you can go into what is a level 6 degree apprenticeship, which is what Lucy is going on is on at the moment. But if you've got that level of academic qualifications, you can look at that as a direct route as well. So you've got your salary, you've got your course paid for, and it's across multiple AHP professions. We've got 14 professions, but there's many within that is now taking these apprenticeship routes further. And what is really great is that you're already working with people, with patients, you're understanding what the job platform is like, and you bring that into your degree learning, which then takes you even further forward when you are registered. For those that we're trying to widen access to people wanting to explore degrees, where maybe people are from an environment where they wouldn't naturally have gone down the traditional route being where you finish your A levels and you go to uni and you finish a full-time 3-year degree. If you're lucky, you get a bursary or scholarship, or you take out a loan, or mom and dad, the bank of mom and dad supports you. But if that wasn't something that was an option for you, there's a lot of different ways in which you can still go down the route of becoming an AHP. So if you haven't got the ability to go straight into a pathway that Lucy has, a lot of trusts are now looking at advertising the level 2 apprenticeship pathway. So people that might not necessarily have thought, oh, this is something for me, trying to make sure that that word gets out to wider communities. So doing a bit more work with the schools and the colleges and the communities and community leaders. So where we wouldn't necessarily have reached, or people wouldn't necessarily have heard of what is an AHP, they now can hear. They now know who to talk about it a bit more, get a bit of work experience, because it's very much about having that empathy, having that one to be working with people. So if this is something that's right for you, there's opportunities where you can get that work experience and see, what's the right fit. And then these level 2 opportunities and level 3 opportunities where you can be directly recruited into the NHS will allow you to build on that, so you can see what it's like actually working in the front line, and then move forward from there. But having an AHP degree opens up so many doors. Oliver spoke a little bit about the different areas that you can work in, but you can work in a hospital setting. If that's not quite for you, you can work within primary care, which is your GP practices. You can work in emergency departments if you really like the dynamic of not quite knowing what's around the corner, like some of the movies that we see on the telly on a Saturday night. You can work in private practice, so you can run your own business. It gives you so many skills, so many opportunities. And it's within 14 professions, but it's never been a better time to try and look at AHP as a degree, because you're getting a lot more opportunities, a lot more organizations are working towards expanding this, increasing the numbers. We need a lot more AHPs. We need a lot more people working within health. So the opportunities are abundant now to support you in that, and I would recommend that if you're interested, there's lots of opportunities to get more information, get some work experience, and look out for these published opportunities that's coming through your way.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And I'd echo your what you've said there around there's no better time than now, and there's so many more routes and opportunities and ways to get involved, either as a support worker and or as a registered worker. And we need both, and both are really valuable roles in the way in which we deliver our services. So thank you for that. So Elena, I'm going to come to you next. I'm interested for you to share with us what Orthoptics is all about, and to talk about the universe of opportunities available within your profession for when you want to progress on with your career and do extended work or advanced practice work. So what does that look like for an orthoptist, please?
So Orthoptics is quite a small community. There's 3 universities that are currently doing it. But what we do is we mainly specialize in eye movement and muscle disorders. That's both with pediatrics and adults. So for example, with more pediatric patients, we look into squints, children who've got reduced vision in both eyes or one eye, and we look into the management and treatment options for them. And then looking through with the adult side of things, we look at patients most commonly who present with double vision because of a muscle misalignment, and we look into the cause of it. Could it be trauma? Is it vascular? Is there more going on? So, further investigations that we need to do for that. And then we also help make them a little bit more comfortable, try and resolve that double vision, and things like that. But every patient is completely different. So whenever another patient walks through the door, it's complete new canvas. So you're just starting to learn, and, every day you see something else. So that's kind of what Orthoptics is in a nutshell, just to start off with. When it comes to developing within orthoptics, there's quite a large variety of options you can go to, particularly now. Everything is, extending. There's more extended roles you can do. For example, there's some orthoptists who go into looking into the macula, so looking at the back of the eye, treating patients who've got diabetic eyes or AMD. Some orthoptists even go into the glaucoma side of things, giving out drops to control patients' pressure and listing them for treatment. Also, you've got orthoptists who are doing orthoptics currently and wanting to specialize further in stroke. So patients who come with, low vision, complications with the eye related to stroke, they can go into that. Even neurology, so that's where you learn a little bit more about all of the different conditions of the eye relating to the brain. And there are even orthoptists who have been assisting on open brain surgery, doing visual field testing like that while that's actually happening. So there's a lot of branches that you can go into, not just, staying where you are. You can do a lot more, whether it's pure orthoptics or not. And there's also quite a big teaching element of it. So a big part of university is you go into different hospitals on placements, which is about 1 month at a time. And that's where, as a student, you're really learning and building your career, your development. You get to see all the cases first in. So as soon as you get the job, you already know what it's kind of like. You're in that environment. So a lot of the orthoptists become clinical tutors, start going through with different students, improvements, and teaching is quite a big thing. Also, Moorfields Eye Hospital just collaborated with UCL. So a new master's has come in orthoptics for postgraduate study. And that's again led by orthoptists and other allied health professionals, and, just collaborating. And yeah, that's how teaching is quite big. But all in all, orthoptics is, you've got loads of different opportunities as well as just orthoptics, which itself is quite a big thing. And you collaborate with a variety of members of the multidisciplinary teams as well. So you get information all the time, left, right, and centre, and you just keep continuously learning.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think one of the things that you've touched on there and other people have commented on is that none of these roles happen in isolation. You form part of a multidisciplinary team, you have interaction with other healthcare professionals, because we all work together as a team around a person to provide them with the right skills, the right information, the right support at the right time. So, that's a really important thing to think about in whatever job you decide or career pathway you choose to follow, is that you're never doing it in isolation. You will be part of a team that will deliver healthcare. So we've got a few minutes left, and if you're happy to jump in and answer, please just give me a hand raise and I'll come to you. I'm interested to know what your top tips, because there's so many, there's a vast array of different career options out there. When you were narrowing down your options or thinking about which path to take, what would be your top tips to other people that might help them thinking about their career choices? Elena, come on in.
So I think the main thing that was a big decider for me was going to do a day's worth of shadowing at an orthoptic department, because I didn't actually know what the course was. I went to a lecture on something else, and by accident it turned out to be about orthoptics. That's how I even got to know about it. But then afterwards I went and I contacted some of the hospitals. Everyone's quite approachable, and just asked, can I just have a day worth of shadowing? And even though I'd read quite a lot of the things online, until I was actually there, that's when I properly saw what it was, and that was a big factor into whether I wanted to do it or not.
Brilliant, thank you. Shadowing is such a great idea, like you say, to go and walk alongside someone and see what it's like in their shoes is fantastic. Oliver, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I definitely would agree with what Elena says. Quite a lot of osteopaths, obviously COVID and COVID times, they can be less observers and that kind of thing, but going to have a look and see from the practitioner side. But I would add in, from a patient perspective, osteopathy is something that, I mean, you don't have to have like double vision to go and see an osteopath. If you do, they'll probably refer you to Elena anyway. So going to actually receive some treatment from an osteopath, because it really can apply to anyone. In our teaching clinic, I've treated people from 11 days old to 86 is my like patient age range. So obviously babies aren't deciding what their career profession is yet. But if you're in that kind of age bracket and you have any particular complaint or just want to experience osteopathic treatment, going to see an osteopath, you can kind of look in your area, and it's normally quite affordable, even if it's in private practice, would definitely be a big tip. And if you're interested in science-related subjects and interested in kind of hands-on practical stuff as well, then that would be, I feel like it's a profession that could kind of work quite well for you.
Great, thanks, Oliver. Ben, I'll come to you next.
Hi, yeah, I just want to echo the shadowing thing, the work experience, because I think most people have probably had an X-ray throughout their life, but maybe have not had experience of the various other departments within radiography. So going and trying to see all the different areas in the radiography department were really, really good. And also I would say that radiography has quite a few different routes into the profession. So there is the degree, which is what I'm doing. There's also an apprenticeship similar to what Lucy is doing, but in radiography. There's quite a few universities offering that now. I think it started about 3 or 4 years ago, so it's still relatively new, but it's becoming more and more widespread. And there's also the route from assistant practitioner, so you can become assistant practitioner, which is a band 4 role, and you work mainly in X-ray. And then from there, you can do another course, top-up course, and become a qualified radiographer.
Brilliant, thank you. Soraya, coming to you next.
Thanks, Carrie. I just wanted to add, we spoke a little bit about what you're looking for when you're starting out and you're starting to decide on your degree. And largely AHP professions is about supporting people to achieve the best quality outcomes for their health and well-being. So you're supporting them to be as independent as they can be, enjoying life at the level that they want to and are able to. But it's also worth thinking, some of you might want to have an idea of, when I'm deciding on a career, what is it going to look like in the longer term? What's the pathway like for me after I've finished university? And for some of us, it's a clinical path, and that's fab. You become senior as you get more experience and you apply for different jobs and you do more clinical courses post-grad. But there's also a lot more structured advanced practitioner pathways now. So you can go into what would be sort of equivalent consultancy roles. So that's developing more. So that's an opportunity. But if you decide once you're in your role, I actually really enjoy research. I really like quality improvement and innovation. You can go down those paths as well. So you can go down the research path. You can go down the quality improvement. You can go and work in a university and become a lecturer. So there's a multitude of options that the starting block of your degree can take you down. And it doesn't mean that you have to answer all the questions now, because these things they evolve as you build your experience and as you get exposed to people and you get exposed to challenges and you learn, that you might decide, oh, actually, I really like that a bit more. So it just gives you such a diverse opportunity from the longevity of from a career perspective, but also more and more now, AHP professions are becoming more diverse within the workforce. So you'll find yourself straddling quite a few different elements. So it's not as the normal traditional routes that you probably would have had 10, 15 years ago. So it just gives you a lot more within your backpack, really, to decide what you wanted to do with your initial degree and how you take that forward.
Brilliant, thank you. You're right. It is like a backpack. It's an opportunity to, your degree gets you through the door. Then there's a whole new galaxy and universe for you to go and discover and explore. And we talk about the universe of opportunities. There's some great resources on our virtual hub and our exhibition booth today that explores that, so people can have a look and see what that means and exactly what you were just talking about there, Soraya, in that sense of all those different routes available. Lucy, I'm going to come to you next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Brilliant, thank you. Like has been said, there are lots and lots of AHP courses now that are doing apprenticeship routes. If you were interested in doing it, I'd recommend getting a pad of paper out and doing a paper of traditional and a paper of apprenticeships and comparing the two to see what suits you best. If you learn best learning on the job, doing the practical and then linking the theory up, that the apprenticeship might be better for you. If you prefer doing the theory first and then seeing the practical and linking it up that way, and maybe you want to enjoy the student life and do freshers and go to the pub after uni and that more social lifestyle, the traditional route might be the best for you as well. But if you do want to apply for the apprenticeship route, absolutely go for it. There's nothing to say that you can't do it in practice or private practice or in NHS, but be aware that you are also applying for a job. You are expected to be at work, you have to go to uni, you can't have a lie-in and just turn up to uni late. You have to be there on time because it's part of your contract, and there are certain things that are expected of you, but it's super fun. It's so much fun, and if you're really, really passionate about the subject that you are doing, you're gonna love it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Lucy. Those are really, really great top tips, because actually you do need to look at the pros and cons, or, the plus and minus of both options, because there are different options available, and to what you really want to get out of it as a person. So not just as a profession, but what suits your lifestyle, what suits where you are in your life and what you're looking for to gain out of it. It's really important you put it in that wider context so that you choose the right course at the right time to get you where you want to be. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time this morning. It's been a great pleasure to hear from you all, and I'm really pleased that everyone's video links has worked all the way through. We've got a full house here at the start and at the end. So thank you for your time, and I'm absolutely sure you will have given people really important food for thought this morning.